We are looking at a place so serene and steeped in Florentine elegance that you might forget it was built on the ferocious violence of the boxing ring. This structure is a sanctuary originally valued at $52 million, carved from the brutal chaos of a prize fight. Over the next 30 minutes, we are unlocking the heavy iron gates of Sugar Ray Leonard's legendary Pacific Palisades estate to see hidden training grounds where a champion stayed sharp at 50, architectural secrets mimicking the Italian countryside, and one specific design flaw that surprisingly increased the property's value. Driving down Sunset Boulevard and turning away from the ocean breeze takes you into the most exclusive enclave of Los Angeles known simply as the Riviera. This specific zip code commands a premium for the heavy hitters living next door rather than just the views, creating a silent brotherhood of success where neighbors like Spielberg and Hanks retreat to escape Hollywood flashbulbs. Location serves as the ultimate gatekeeper here because buying land means buying into a level of security that minimal police presence can provide, and that exclusivity sets the stage for the entrance. Wealthiest athletes often obsess over the length of their driveway to create a psychological decompression zone between public fame and their private self. Sugar Ray's estate sits behind massive ivy-covered gates that swing open to reveal a winding path, which effectively scrubs away city stress before the front door even appears. Distance creates peace, so if you are designing your own sanctuary, never underestimate the power of a transition space to reset your mental state. That winding path leads directly to a facade that defies American architecture. While many Mediterranean mansions in California are cheap imitations using stucco and foam, this property spent years sourcing authentic European lineage to replicate a true Florentine villa. Architects applied a specific ochre palette and encouraged ivy to reclaim the stone so the house looks like it has stood for 3 centuries rather than 3 decades. This is the specific design flaw that drives up the value, a masterclass in patina where the architects intentionally distressed the materials to look worn. While structural degradation usually ruins a listing, here it proves that new money shouts while old money whispers. When evaluating luxury builds, look for materials that age well rather than those that just sparkle when new. And with that in mind, let's push open the heavy double doors. The foyer immediately hits you with a sense of scale that feels more like a European museum than a typical living room. A grand double staircase anchors the space and frames a sightline that shoots straight through the house to the ocean view, beyond which instantly orients the guest within the landscape. Architects call this prospect and refuge, a theory where humans feel most comfortable when they can see far away while being protected. Grandeur requires perfect scale, so if you want to impress guests, ensure your entryway offers a clear line of sight to your best asset immediately. But the ground beneath your feet tells an even richer story. Builders often claim you can fake the look of luxury, but you cannot completely fake the touch of it under bare feet. Imported French limestone and authentic Jerusalem goldstone cover the floors to retain a cool temperature during blistering California heat waves without needing constant air conditioning. This choice was a functional decision to mimic the thermal mass of actual Italian castles rather than just an aesthetic one. Quality is felt, not just seen, which means you should invest in high-traffic surfaces first during renovations since they dictate the subconscious feeling of value in the home, and this attention to detail extends to how the entire home flows. You should judge a mansion by how much space is actually usable for a human being rather than total square footage. This layout spans 16,773 square feet and splits into distinct public entertainment wings and private family retreats, so residents never feel lost in their own home. It solves the mega mansion paradox where a house is too big to feel cozy, but too small to host a gala. Flow dictates lifestyle, and a great floor plan allows you to live in 20% of the house while reserving the rest for occasions. So now we move into the room where Hollywood royalty gathered. The main living space requires you to tilt your head back to appreciate the sheer volume of the room. Vaulted open-beam ceilings are engineered to manage the acoustics of a space that regularly hosted hundreds of chattering guests rather than just adding dramatic flair. Without this vertical volume, a room of this footprint would feel like a claustrophobic warehouse instead of a palace. Space functions as the ultimate luxury, so remember that ceiling height often adds more perceived value than actual floor space when viewing properties. And this immense volume is grounded by a feature that seems out of place in Southern California. Installing massive stone fireplaces in a climate that rarely drops below 50 degrees happens because the hearth serves as an ancient psychological anchor for gathering rather than a heat source. Leonard's villa features antique stone surrounds imported directly from Europe that cost more than most starter homes to serve as the visual center of gravity for the sprawling rooms. Anchors prevent visual drift in large, open-concept spaces by defining the living zone without using walls, but the real heat generates in the next room. This space was built as a commercial engine, even though most celebrity kitchens are pristine showrooms that never see a drop of tomato sauce. Double islands feature here with one for the family's casual breakfast and a second purely utilitarian slab for catering teams to prep 4-course meals for 50 people. This separation ensures that the mess of cooking never contaminates the social experience of eating. Zoning your workspace by separating the prep area from the serving area is the single biggest upgrade you can make to functionality if you have the space. And the best place to enjoy that coffee is just a few steps away. A glass-wrapped solarium captures the brilliance of the California sun without the punishing midday heat by acting as a transition zone between the air-conditioned interior and the manicured gardens. This room allows for year-round outdoor living even during the rare rainstorm or chilly coastal evening, which effectively adds livable square footage that feels like nature. Light changes mood, so incorporating a sunroom or heavily windowed corner can significantly combat seasonal affect and boost daily energy levels, standing in stark contrast to the serious nature of the next room. The dining room in a house like this serves as a theater for negotiation rather than just nourishment. Coffered ceilings and walls capable of holding massive art pieces were designed to intimidate and impress simultaneously, providing the perfect backdrop for finalizing boxing contracts or hosting high-stakes charity dinners. Lighting here focuses exclusively on the table to create a cone of silence where secrets can be shared. Lighting dictates intimacy, so lowering the light source to table level in your own dining space instantly makes a large room feel private and conspiratorial. But eventually, the show must end. The architectural brilliance here lies in the family wing because every superstar eventually needs to take off the mask. Lower ceilings and smaller room dimensions define this section to subconsciously signal that this is a place for Ray the Father instead of Sugar Ray the Legend. It allows residents to retreat into a cozy, human-scaled environment without being overwhelmed by the grandeur of the rest of the estate. Scale creates comfort, so dedicating one area with smaller proportions for true relaxation helps mental recovery in a large home. And now we move to the most private sanctuary of all. The master bedroom functions more like a self-contained luxury apartment than a place to merely sleep. A private sitting area joins a personal fireplace and antique sconces that cast a warm, golden glow over the room. This design strategy is known as compartmentalized living and allows owners to spend entire days here without ever interacting with the rest of the household staff. Privacy acts as the ultimate amenity, so ensure there is enough space for a small sofa or reading chair to create a true retreat when designing a master bedroom. But the real restoration happens through the double doors. A bathroom becomes a recovery center for a body that has taken thousands of punches rather than just a utility for a world-class athlete. The centerpiece is a deep, soaking tub positioned precisely to frame the canyon views, which turns a 20-minute soak into a meditative experience. Calming neutral stone tones lower the heart rate and mimic the atmosphere of a high-end European spa. Environment aids recovery, so simply decluttering your bathroom and adding dimmable lighting can significantly reduce evening stress levels without needing a mansion to replicate the feeling. Yet looking good requires serious infrastructure. Organizing a wardrobe that ranges from championship robes to bespoke Italian suits requires a dressing showroom rather than a standard closet. A center island for laying out accessories sits near glass-fronted cabinets that make selecting an outfit as easy as shopping at a boutique. This layout prevents the wardrobe paralysis of not knowing what you own because everything remains visible and accessible. Visibility creates usage, so stop stacking clothes in dark drawers and start displaying them like inventory if you want to get more use out of them, although the best view isn't of the suits. A private terrace greets you with a panoramic sweep that takes in the lush canyon and the distant shimmer of the Pacific Ocean. These balconies are deep enough to host a small dinner party, which effectively extends the living space of the upper floor into the fresh air. High-value real estate refers to this as borrowed landscape, where you own the view even if you don't own the land as far as the eye can see. Views dictate value, so always orient your outdoor seating to capture the longest sightline possible to make your property feel infinite, and the hospitality extends to everyone. Each suite here rivals a 5-star hotel room, even though most homeowners treat guest rooms as afterthoughts filled with leftover furniture. En-suite bathrooms and distinct decor themes ensure that visiting family or entourage members feel honored rather than accommodated. This level of detail transforms a house guest from a burden into a comfortable independent resident who avoids relying on the host for every need. Autonomy creates comfort, and the best guest room is one where the guest never has to ask you where the towels are, yet this house was also a place of serious business. Sugar Ray managed his promotional empire and charitable foundations from this wood-paneled office long before Zoom calls became standard. Dark woods and heavy drapes surround memorabilia and trophies to foster an atmosphere of focus and gravity. It stands as a physical manifestation of separating church and state because crossing this threshold means you are at work instead of at home. Environment triggers focus, so dedicating a specific zone for work that is visually distinct from your relaxation areas maintains mental boundaries. We have reached the halfway point of this tour through Sugar Ray Leonard's estate and are about to head downstairs to the champion's amenities, including the gym that kept a legend in fighting shape. Hit that subscribe button if you are enjoying this deep dive into the architecture of success, because it helps us unlock more doors to the world's most exclusive properties. And now let's go see where the sweat was poured. This room was a sacred workspace for Sugar Ray, while most billionaire home gyms are status symbols filled with dusty equipment. Engineers prioritized airflow and impact over aesthetics by featuring high ceilings to accommodate jump ropes and reinforced floors to withstand dropped weights. He maintained a physique that defied aging here long after his final professional bout. Function beats fashion, so prioritize ventilation and floor durability over mirrors and expensive cardio machines when building a home gym, because a stifling room is a room you will never use, but lets cool down in the dark. A home theater in Hollywood is a standard appliance required for reviewing dailies or hosting premieres rather than a luxury. Leonard's screening room acts as a masterclass in acoustic isolation by using plush velvet walls to absorb stray sound waves so the dialogue is crisp and the explosions are chest-thumping. Tiered seating guarantees that every guest has a perfect sightline to mimic the commercial cinema experience in a private setting. Sound makes up 50% of the picture, so invest in sound-dampening curtains or panels before buying a larger television screen if you are setting up a media room. Wealthy collectors treat wine cellars like bank vaults because fine wine is a tangible asset class that appreciates over time only if stored in perfect conditions. Redundancy systems in this climate-controlled cellar maintain exact humidity levels to protect thousands of bottles of vintage investments from the dry California air. This transforms drinking wine from a consumption habit into a sophisticated hobby of curation and patience. You should protect your liquid assets, and even a small temperature-controlled fridge can significantly extend the life and taste of your wine compared to a kitchen rack. But from sophistication, we move to pure fun. The competitive spirit simply moves to the pool table when the gloves come off. This sprawling game room served as the social hub of the house and was designed with a wet bar and easy access to the patio to facilitate seamless indoor-outdoor partying. It provides a space that gives permission for adults to play, which creates a critical psychological release valve for high performers living under constant pressure. Play is productive, and designating a space in your home specifically for leisure prevents work stress from contaminating every corner of your life. But someone has to clean up the mess after the party. Domestic work happens invisibly, which creates the true magic of a 30,000 square foot estate. Dedicated staff quarters include their own separate entrances and kitchen facilities, so the housekeeping and grounds crew can operate without ever intruding on the family's privacy. This design ensures that beds are made and lawns are mowed as if by phantom hands, so the house always appears magically perfect. Privacy requires logistics, so always plan service routes so that maintenance doesn't become an interruption to your daily life if you are planning a large home. And speaking of interruptions, your home must be a fortress when the world wants a piece of you as a global icon. A state-of-the-art security grid wraps the estate with motion sensors, high-definition cameras, and likely a safe room that remains off the blueprints. It provides the ability to sleep soundly without worrying about who is outside the gate, which is the one thing money usually destroys. Safety buys sleep, and while you don't need a bunker, upgrading your exterior lighting and installing visible cameras remain the most cost-effective deterrents against intrusion. So now let's step out into the California sun. A shimmering blue oval immediately draws your eye and anchors the entire lawn when you step into the backyard. Classical curves and intricate mosaic tiling evoke the fountains of Rome, unlike the sharp modern rectangles of today's glass box mansions. It was designed to be a visual water feature that cools the air and reflects the sunset, rather than just a place for swimming laps. Curves soften the landscape, so consider softer organic shapes to break up the rigid lines of the house and fences when designing a backyard. But there is the court for those who prefer rigid lines. Dedicating a massive flat rectangle to a tennis court is the ultimate flex in the Pacific Palisades, where land can cost over $10 million an acre. This championship-sized court serves as a social venue where friendly matches often turn into high-stakes networking events instead of just exercise. It sits slightly recessed into the landscape and is surrounded by tall hedges to block the wind and the prying eyes of neighbors. Landscaping functions as the best fence, so use dense, tall shrubbery rather than wood or metal fencing to create privacy that feels natural and expensive. A manicured putting green lies just steps away from the court, as a testament to the retired athlete's need for precision without the physical toll. It offers a meditative break in the day where one can walk out in socks and focus on a single repetitive task to clear the mind. Integrating this feature into the garden shows that the landscape is meant to be engaged with rather than just looked at. You should activate your yard, so don't just plant grass, but add a feature like a bocce court or cornhole pit that forces you to actually go outside and use the space. The true soul of this estate lies in the rose gardens because they were cultivated with the same obsession Leonard applied to his boxing technique. The scent of blooming roses and jasmine acts as a natural aromatherapy system to instantly lower cortisol levels as you walk through these pathways. This is a living, breathing art installation that changes with the seasons to keep homeowners connected to the rhythm of nature rather than just yard work. Scent designs the experience, so prioritize fragrant plants near walkways and windows when planting a garden to bring the sensory experience inside. Calling this structure a guest house is almost an insult considering it is a fully functioning two-story residence that would be the envy of most homeowners. It provides a critical solution for multi-generational living by allowing aging parents or adult children to live on the property while maintaining complete independence. Separation preserves relationships by removing the friction of shared kitchens and living spaces. Distance saves relationships, so creating a semi-detached living space adds massive value for future buyers looking to house in-laws or nannies if you have the room. We return to the front to focus on the motor court, which is a vast cobblestoned plaza designed to display a fleet of Ferraris like art in a gallery. This solves the practical, logistical nightmare of hosting a party for 100 people and prevents the embarrassing clutter of cars spilling onto the street. Tires rolling on stone rather than asphalt changes the acoustic experience of arriving home so that every return feels like an event. Paving sets the tone, and swapping a blacktop driveway for pavers or stamped concrete remains one of the highest ROI curb appeal upgrades you can make. The fantasy of the $52 million home meets the brutal reality of the open market here. Sugar Ray originally listed this estate in 2019 for a staggering $52 million because he was confident that his legend would carry the price tag. but the market fought back. The price was slashed to $46 million over 5 years, then $45, and recently hovered just under $37 million. The market is undefeated, and no matter how famous the owner, a house is only worth what a buyer is willing to wire on a Tuesday morning. This serves as a masterclass in pricing strategy because starting too high risks your trophy becoming stale inventory. Buying a celebrity's house doesn't automatically make it a better investment like buying John Lennon's guitar, and in real estate, the opposite is often true. High net worth buyers are ruthless pragmatists who view custom celebrity features like a boxing ring or a recording studio as expensive demolition projects rather than value adds. The Sugar Ray name gets people in the door for the open house, but it doesn't get them to sign the check. Fame attracts while utility sells, so market the lifestyle the house provides when selling a unique property instead of the person who lived there. You have to ask if you could afford to keep the keys if you were gifted this house for free today. The burn rate to simply exist here is estimated at over $60,000 a month between property taxes likely exceeding $400,000 a year, the landscaping crew for the Italian gardens, pool maintenance, and security staff. That amounts to $2,000 a day just to keep the lights on and the ivy trimmed. Assets have liabilities, so before you envy the owner of a mega mansion, remember that they are running a small corporation dedicated solely to property maintenance. The buyer for a Florentine villa in the Palisades is likely a quiet tech titan or a generational wealth family seeking anonymity and established prestige, rather than another young athlete who typically prefers the modern glass box style. They are buying the feeling of history, which is the one thing they can't build quickly. Old money buys privacy, and the target demographic here values the hedges and the gates more than the party room. A clear distinction emerges when you stack this against Floyd Mayweather's Las Vegas compound or Sylvester Stallone's former Beverly Park estate. Those homes scream, "Look at me," with gold faucets and branded logos everywhere, while Leonard's villa whispers by choosing terracotta over titanium and rose gardens over infinity edges. It represents a fading era of celebrity housing where the goal was to replicate European aristocracy rather than a Las Vegas nightclub. Style cycles fade, and while timeless architecture like this may sit on the market longer, it rarely looks embarrassing 20 years later. Sugar Ray Leonard's Pacific Palisades villa stands as the architectural autobiography of a man who fought his way to the top and then built a fortress to protect what he earned. It balances the public grandeur of a champion with the private softness of a father. This proves that the ultimate luxury isn't gold leaf or marble, but the ability to curate silence in the middle of a noisy world. If this is the American dream, it is the heavyweight champion of the world. We have toured a property that defines the Hollywood elite lifestyle from the ivy-covered gates to the sweat-soaked gym floors. We saw how a home can be built to intimidate rivals while nurturing a family, and how even the biggest legends have to bow to the laws of the real estate market. And that's it from us today. Until next time, thank you for watching.